Hello, dear fellow Christian, dear followers, dear viewers. Good day, or whatever time you might be watching me right now. I am Nkeneche Marcelo Sagendia, and this is Christian Family Home Fellowship. This time around, I am bringing this program to educate us in one key area of our lives, and this particular session has been inspired by the word. I'm talking about the scripture, and I think it is a square peg in a square hole, because it is coming at a point where we deeply need it. And so I will be talking about sending our children to school in very difficult times. And so this message is actually designed for our parents, for our youths, brothers and sisters, and for guardians who at this point are preparing to send back children to school come October, because as we know, as of October, I think October 10th, schools are reopening in Cameroon. And this is a very crucial moment, a very difficult one, a moment when our pockets are all dry, and it is as a result of the political and the health crisis that has led to a kind of economic crisis that has dried off our pockets. And so that's why I say that this message is highly inspired by God, and it is a square peg in a square hole. And I want to tell you that our philosophy is that there is no chance in life, no coincidence in life. So you are not watching us by chance. You are not watching us as a result of a coincidence. God has actually directed you here. So please watch this right up to the end, and make sure you share the video with 1 or 2 persons. Now, let me take us back to the Garden of Eden, and let's try to see what happened there. That will give us a lot of information to what we are going to discuss in the rest of the video. In the beginning, the Bible says in Genesis that God created the heavens and the earth. That is Genesis 1:1. And later on, God saw that everywhere was dark, and the earth was empty, and then He created the light, and later on the waters, the earth, the grasses, fruits, and so on, and then animals. And then the Bible says in Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 to 27, that God created man in His own image. He created him in His image. Now, in Genesis 2, we try to see the procedure, the steps that God took to be able to create man. And one of those very important key areas in the life of Christian is that God breathed His air into man, and that gave life to man. That shows a sense of dependency. That means that without God, man cannot live. And that means simply that at each point in time, we have to recognize Him, we have to identify Him as our creator, as the manager of our lives and everything here on earth. And so, importantly, God created the Garden of Eden, and then He took man and placed him there, and told man that here you have everything. Take care of this garden and eat of this fruit, eat of this fruit, eat of this tree, eat of this tree, but do not eat of this tree. Those were the instructions given to man in the Garden of Eden. But the question is, what was that Eden? What is the Garden of Eden? In very simple terms, I want to say the Garden of Eden was that place, or it is that place, that had everything that man could use to live his life to the fullest in eternity. That is the nature of the Garden of Eden. And so that is that beautiful place that God placed man and told man to be in charge. But telling man to be in charge doesn't mean that he, God, is lifting his hands completely off that garden. And so at every point in time, Adam was supposed to be referring to God. That relationship was supposed to be respected by Adam. And Adam, constantly looking up to God, was supposed to show a kind of a sense of dependency, as I've said before, and that God is supreme, and that without him, Adam cannot do anything. But unfortunately, very, very unfortunately, what happened? The devil came in through the wife, Eve, and told Eve and Adam, look, do you know why God told you not to do this, not to do this? Because you become like him. You will be exactly like him. You will know good and you know evil. And you will be exactly like him. Wow. Is that how great I can be? I just imagine Adam exclaiming. And so Adam started feeling that he can become autonomous. He doesn't want to be dependent. And so he fell in the trap, and the consequences is what we have in the world today. God knew about that, and God sanctioned Adam and Eve. God expelled them from that beautiful place for them to go and live that autonomy that they thought they could live. Since Adam thought he could be dependent, he could be autonomous, he was already a man and he could live just like God. God said, okay, go ahead. And unfortunately, the world is suffering today because of that disobedience. I want to say that that is a short story. We see how the plan of God changed, how the purpose of God in Adam's life changed, because the purpose of God was for Adam to just live there in that garden, walking there and living very comfortably without stress and making a good life in eternity. But when he disobeyed God, God changed his plan and God took him out of that place. Even though as a father, he still has given other option and another option for us of Adam to be able to come back to that same garden. But I just came up with this very short story that is scriptural for us to understand that today most of us are living in that same trap. We have forsaken God and we are seeking our own purpose. We are seeking our own plan rather than seeking God's plan. So you see that once the plan of God changes in your life, the next thing is suffering. Because suffering is what we are having now because Adam disobeyed God. If he didn't disobey God, he would have been living in full enjoyment. And that would have been a very wonderful purpose. But today, the purpose has changed. So, we have to discover our purpose. That is the first thing. But to discover our purpose, we have to know God's plan in our life. It's until we discover God's plan and purpose in our lives that we'll be able to get back on track. We'll be able to get back into the Garden of Eden. And so at this moment of crisis, at this moment of the COVID-19 pandemic, at this moment of poverty, at this time of dry pockets, we have to seek to know God's plan in our life. We have to discover God's purpose, not our purpose. I see so many life coaches on the social media talking about you discovering your purpose. It is not your purpose, it is God's purpose in your life. So what you have to do is start praying now for God to reveal His plans in your life. Once you know God's plan in your life, you have discovered His purpose in your life. And so the very first thing for us to know, to be able to sustain our lives and send our children to school without stress in October, even with dry pockets, we can do it. The first thing we have to know is to seek God. We have to relate back to God. How do we do that? It's very simple. You just go down on your knees and you say, God, I have been living on the wrong way. I have been walking on the wrong track. I have been seeking my plan in life. I have been seeking my purpose and not yours. But God, forgive me. I am looking up to you. You created me. You gave me your air, and that is what is making me to live today. I cannot forsake you. God, accept me. That is all you have to do. Once you do that, God will continue speaking to you through the word. Because John chapter 1 verse 1 says, in the beginning was the word, and the word was with God, and the word was God. So the scripture that you have been avoiding is the word. That is what contains God's plan in your life, because it is God himself speaking. And so the more you read the word, the more you are relating to God, and the more he is revealing his plans in your life to you. And once you know those plans, you already are on the way to discover the purpose of God in your life. This is very logical. Imagine there is a straight road, or there is a road that's leading to somewhere. Just that road. And at one point you were out of track. And then you have been able to come on track. And you are just moving, walking, but on that road. You will certainly get to where your destination is. And that destination is what we are defining as your purpose, as God's purpose in your life. Why that road is God's plan in your life. And so, once we do that, we'll be able to abandon the devil's camp, and we get into God's camp. And very, very unfortunately, the devil has been giving us wrong advice. What is the wrong advice? The devil will always tell you, the devil is a master of liars, as the Bible defines him. He will always tell you, please, this one is your purpose. This one is your plan of action. But the plan of action that the devil has given you is a road that is leading you to a wrong purpose. It's the road that is leading you to where your children will fail, and will fail in the future. And he's telling you, what are the things that he's telling you to be able to walk on his track? He's telling you, please look, you have a good job, send your children to very expensive schools, because your neighbor is sending his or her own children to so and so school, and it just places you in the midst of competition, and you see yourself competing with your people, with your neighbors, with your brothers, with your sisters. But when you compete with them, you are completely out of track. You have missed God's plan. And so that is what the devil keeps telling you. Certainly, unfortunately, I don't know, the devil always uses the wife. Probably if you are living with your wife, it will be your wife that will start telling you, please, Daddy, I want us to send our child to so and so school. It's a very nice school. It's a very beautiful school. The school fees is just about 100,000. That is the devil speaking to you. That is the devil. And I'm not saying your wife is the devil, but I'm saying that the devil is in her speaking to you. So you have to resist that. You have to resist that. You are still living in the garden, and that is the devil speaking. That is the snake speaking. Why I say this is because I've seen young men, young promising men, friends, colleagues, get into terrible suffering But yesterday they had a little, and they were sending their children to very expensive schools. Some, I advised them, I said, hey, bro, look, friend, look, that is not the best way. Because no condition is permanent. We often sing this as a song. No condition is permanent when we are suffering. But we forget to say that the same no condition is permanent is applicable when you are fine. And that tomorrow you might find yourself in a very difficult situation. Oh yes, you can be in a very difficult situation now and you sing the song, no condition is permanent, hoping to be fine. But also note that you can still be in a very wonderful situation, good salary, good job, and so on. And you have forgotten that no condition is permanent. You are not saving any 5 francs for your children tomorrow. You just think everything will continue being as it is. No condition is permanent as well. And know that tomorrow you might lose that job. That is what most of us will fail to see, and tomorrow we find ourselves in serious trouble. Some of us will find ourselves in situations that we cannot even have 50 francs to buy dry gari to sip in water and eat. And so what I'm saying here in essence is, after you have discovered God's plan in your life by getting closer to Him, He will be able to let you know your level in the society. And once you know your level in the society, the same God will keep reminding you to cut your coat according to your size. You should not be of a very small size like myself and you want to wear a coat that will be like kaba on your body. I said that is very wrong. So get closer to God. He will show you His plan of action, and when you discover God's plan of action in your life, you will be able to understand at which level you are operating within the society. And once you know the level you are operating within the society, you will be able, by God's grace, to operate within that level. You will not go beyond that level. And so by the time your neighbor is sending the child to a school that the school fees is 200,000 francs, you'll be advising your wife that, please, look, we should send our child to this government school that the school fees is 1,500 francs. Oh yes, that is the difference. I went to a primary school, GS in Chenfem. The school fees at that time, well, in fact, government institutions, primary school, they don't pay fees. They pay what we call PTA. Our PTA was 1,500 francs, but our parents had a lot of difficulties paying it. They had a lot of difficulties. I remember they would send us back home several times before the academic year runs out. And it was just 1,500 francs. But it was a government institution, and we still had the best education. If I'm talking to you today, I am fine by God's grace. I have studied right up to the university. I am a master degree holder. I am doing a theology program, and you see, I just see myself blessed. But I did not go to the best schools. So let no one lies to you. Let the devil not lie to you, because lies come from the devil. When you often find yourself in a situation where you find yourself dancing or confusing between sending your child to this school or that school, please just take the option that has the least school fees. Please, this is my humble advice. In our society today, we have government institutions, we have private institutions. Private institutions are exorbitantly expensive. Exorbitantly expensive. The difference is 100,000 francs, not more, not less. I mean, not less, but it might be more. You see, in a primary school where they are paying maybe about PTA, just PTA, about 5,000 francs. Government schools, in private schools, they are paying 120,000 francs school fees for nursery. I'm talking about nursery. Nursery, you know, nursery fees is usually much higher than primary, because there are children that need a lot of care and so on and so forth. And when you get to primary, they might drop it down maybe from 120 to about 100,000 francs. It is true, you can have private institutions that the school fees is just about 50,000 francs, but it is still very, very exorbitant. If you are my Christian, if you are a Christian, I mean, from the family of God, please and you are watching me, that fees is not your size. It is very expensive. Your size is about 1,000 francs, 15, highest 5,000 francs. So if you are a Christian, or you are not a Christian but you think that you are spending more and you want to cut on your expenditure, especially at these difficult times, please look for an institution that will offer you education, that will offer a true education at a cost of maximum 5,000 francs for an academic year. I'm not talking per term. The difference is, let's just take an average of say 50,000 francs. That is, it is the difference. Do you know what 5,000 francs can do in your life? Maybe you save that every year. Before that child gets to maybe class 7 or class 6, sorry. You must have saved 50,000 francs times 7 is how much? How much is that? 5 times 7 should be around 35,000 francs. That is 350,000 francs. Do you know with that 350,000 francs, you can prepare, you can just use just part of that to prepare him to have access to secondary school. In fact, 350,000 francs can sponsor a child in the whole of secondary and high school. I mean 350,000 francs, and you still have some change. I'm saying here in a situation where you send your child to a government secondary and high school. Those are the options I'm preaching to you now. I want you to take that option. You are not helping yourself out by spending exorbitantly in private schools, because they offer the same education. The private schools and the government schools, they run the same programs. In fact, government give out the programs for them to use. I mean what we call curriculum. They are using the same curriculum. And so, the same thing that they will teach your child is something that they are teaching that child in that other school. And they write the same national exam, common entrance and first school. Even if your child passes in list B, it is still a pass. Please, a pass is a pass. When your child passes, don't be influenced by the grades. I want to tell you that your child will perform even better. You are giving your child the best strength. Tomorrow, those children that are going to those private schools, I can assure you that they cannot beat your child if they set, because at a certain level, your child will be more involved in personal research than that other person. I'm really saying this out of experience. You know, I went to a primary school, a government primary school. I also went to a government secondary school right up to Form 5. After my Form 5, my father opted that I go to a private school. I went to Seed of Wisdom College for them. And I noticed two key things. There in private institutions, the teachers, they chew everything and even push it in your throat for you to swallow. Why in government schools, you have some gaps, and you, the child, the student, because you have to take a national exam, you are bound to research on your own and close those gaps. And by researching on your own, you are empowering yourselves. That is the truth. That's why a child at an advanced level, a child who has an advanced level in a government higher institution, and a student who has an advanced level in a private higher institution, the two, you cannot, that one from a private institution can never beat that one in a private institution when it comes to research. That is the truth, because they chew everything and give them. So, what I'm saying here in essence is, we spend exorbitantly for nothing. At the end, because when I look back, I say, oh, I went to a primary school. My neighbor's child was going to this private school, but we all ended up at the university. But I want to tell you, at the university, it is true. That's what I'm telling you. I'm seriously saying it out of experience. I got some difficulties at university because I was just coming from where they were chewing everything and giving me. But my counterparts from government institutions, they were striving. So I had to, it was my previous experience from government institutions that actually pushed me out. But I want to say that let your children learn where it is cheapest and they get the same education that they will get from private institution. We are being influenced, we are being moved by the masses. We should stop doing things because our neighbors are doing. We should stop doing things because our friends, even if your children are being sponsored by your uncle or by your brothers, maybe somewhere who are better up in the society, please advise them to give you that money to save. Advise them to sponsor your children in a government institution. And maybe, why not use the excess of money to sponsor other children who are less privileged in the society? It is very important. You should be able to tell your brother that is sponsoring your children, or you that you are sponsoring, you think that you have the money today and you are spending it on your child in a very expensive institution. Bring back your child to a moderate institution, which is a government institution, and the excess money that you have, you can use it to sponsor even one other child, one of your neighbor's child that is not going to school because of problems, because of economic hardship. Is that not the essence? Is that not our purpose in life? Our purpose in life, I said I will not say this, but let me tell you, the way God designed man is for us to do good, productive works. And you can help out your neighbor. If you are spending 5,000 francs to sponsor your child, instead of 50,000 francs, 100,000 francs that you have been spending in a private institution, you can use 20,000 francs to sponsor 4 other children in primary school. Please, I think I have been sent to educate us all on this, so that we best know our steps, we operate within our limits. And as I was saying, something that because they have it a lot today, that is going to remain. No, your condition might change. I have friends today who are regretting. I have some that I advised and they did not follow my advice, and today they are regretting. Today they no longer have the riches that they had. And the children, they are forced now to move the children from those expensive institutions back to government institutions. They come back to my point. I have a woman today who is regretting against my advice. This lady, the son had to go to a higher institution. And government institutions are quite open with very low fees, 50,000 francs. But this lady spent hundreds of thousands, about 400,000 francs, just the fees in a private institution to study the same thing that a child will learn in a government institution. And at the end, even, it was just 2 days ago, she was telling me that the child had become a rascal in the society, and the friends are defending their HND and the child is not. She's not only regretting that the child did not, she's not only crying that the child has not been able to have her degree or his HND, but she's also crying that she has spent a lot. Why? Because we want to be greedy on ourselves. We want to be greedy to others. I say it's greed because we spend all that and others are suffering just around us. Many others are suffering. Well, you are not obliged to help your neighbor, but at least send your child to a moderate institution, save the excess, and by the time that child is getting to a secondary institution, or he or she is getting to university, you will need that money most. Because by that time, he might not be the only child. Because some of us, especially youth, today we have one child, and we think that we can work out things with what we are having. You just calculate everything. Okay, this is my one child I have. I will pay this 50,000 or 100,000 francs as school fees for this year, by this year, and so on and so forth. You forget that in the next 2 years, you will be giving birth to another child. Some even give birth after every year. And by the time your first child is getting to university, that is when the greatest burden is coming in. Because you need to pay a house for him. You need to pay food, you need to pay light, you need to pay fees, buy handout, and so on and so forth. And so, at that time, you need that money most. It serves you nothing, wasting money, wasting resources at this early stage when you need those resources tomorrow. I call it wastage because your child can still obtain what you want at the lowest cost. I hope I have spoken to you. All I wish is you have heard and that you will look up to God. When you look up to God, call on Him, He will reveal His plan of action to you, and when He reveals His plan of action, you will know your purpose. Knowing your purpose means you know the destination that you are heading to. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this message has blessed you. I hope you will use it to bless others as you share the message. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our Facebook page, and make sure that you share this video in your WhatsApp group and with other friends so that their lives will be touched. Thank you as you prepare with dry pockets for the upcoming academic year for your children. Thank you very much. God bless you. Bye-bye.